Imagine you wake up at 3 a.m. Your heart is hammering against your ribs. You are covered in cold sweat. You are breathing like you just ran a marathon. For a split second, you don't know where you are. You just escaped the monster, or you were falling off a cliff, or you showed up to a final exam in your underwear. You sit up, you look around, you see your nightstand, you check your phone. The blue light washes over your face. You take a deep breath. It was just a nightmare. You are safe. Now, imagine none of that modern comfort exists. No locked doors, no memory foam mattress, no phone to distract you. You are in a cave. It is 30,000 years ago. You just woke up from the exact same nightmare, sweating, panting, terrified. But here's the problem. You don't have modern science to tell you it was just a dream. You don't know what a hallucination is. You don't know about subconscious anxiety. As far as you are concerned, you just went somewhere else. You saw a monster, you felt its breath, and now you're back. What do you tell the rest of your tribe? How do you explain the horrors your brain just forced you to live through? And more importantly, why would your own brain intentionally torture you while you're trying to rest? This is the hidden story of the ancient nightmare. And to understand it, we have to realize that our ancestors didn't view bad dreams as a glitch in the system. They viewed them as a matter of life and death. Let's start with a brutal biological truth. Sleep, from an evolutionary standpoint, is incredibly stupid. Think about it. You are a prehistoric human living in a world filled with cave lions, dire wolves, and rival tribes who want your territory. And your biological imperative is to lie down on the ground, close your eyes, completely paralyze yourself, and hallucinate for 8 hours a day. It sounds like a terrible survival strategy. If you were designing the ultimate apex predator, you wouldn't give it a mandatory 8-hour shutdown sequence. Yet, evolution kept it. Every human sleeps. Every human dreams. But here's where it gets interesting. Why do we have bad dreams? If sleep is strictly for physical recovery and memory consolidation, why does the brain occasionally decide to traumatize itself? Why put the body through the intense physical stress of a nightmare? When you have a nightmare, your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline. Your blood pressure spikes. You're burning energy you are supposed to be conserving. For decades, modern scientists assumed nightmares were just psychological overflow, a brain glitch caused by stress, too much mammoth meat before bed. But ancient humans didn't think it was a glitch. They thought it was a feature. And as it turns out, modern science is starting to realize the cavemen were right. Evolution doesn't waste energy on glitches. If nightmares survived millions of years of human evolution, they must serve a critical purpose, a purpose that kept our ancestors alive. Nightmares aren't a mistake, they are a biological necessity. To understand what ancient humans thought about nightmares, we have to look at what nightmares actually are. There is a concept in evolutionary psychology called threat simulation theory. Don't worry, it's simpler than it sounds. Threat simulation theory suggests that the biological function of dreaming is to simulate dangerous events so you can practice recognizing and avoiding them. Think of it like a highly advanced virtual reality simulator built directly into your skull. When a modern fighter pilot is learning to fly, the military doesn't just throw them in a jet and say, "Good luck, try not to crash." They put them in a multi-million-dollar VR simulator. They simulate engine failures, enemy attacks, and terrible weather. They force the pilot to experience the panic and figure out a solution in a safe environment. Your brain is doing the exact same thing. When you go into REM sleep, the deep sleep where most dreaming happens, your brain completely cuts off the connection to your muscles. This is a scientific process called REM atonia. It is temporary paralysis. Your brain basically unplugs your body so you don't physically act out what you're about to do. Once your body is safely locked down, your brain boots up the simulator. It pulls up your deepest fears, falling, predators, social rejection, failing to protect your tribe, and it forces you to run the simulation. You aren't just having a bad dream, you are in a biological boot camp. Our ancient ancestors were running nighttime fire drills. So how did ancient humans actually experience this? Here's what most people don't realize about our ancestors. They didn't think the dream world was fake. To an ancient hunter-gatherer, the world you enter when you close your eyes is just as real as the waking world. It is simply a different dimension, a place where the rules of physics are bent, where time moves differently, and where spirits live. When an ancient human had a nightmare about being stalked by a shadow in the woods, they didn't wake up and think, "Wow, my subconscious is really acting up." They thought, "My soul just left my body, went into the spirit realm, and was attacked by a real entity." Because of this, nightmares weren't just personal problems, they were community intelligence. In many early human societies, waking up and sharing your dreams was essentially the ancient equivalent of a morning briefing. Instead of checking Slack or reading the morning news, the tribe gathered around the fire and shared their simulations. If 3 people in the tribe all had nightmares about the river rushing up and swallowing them, the tribe didn't analyze their childhood trauma. They packed up their tents and moved to higher ground. And we have archaeological proof that they leaned into this. They didn't avoid the nightmare realm. They tried to hack it. Take the ancient settlement of Çatalhöyük in modern-day Turkey, dating back to roughly 7100 BCE. This is one of the oldest human cities ever discovered. When archaeologists excavated their homes, they found something incredibly strange. These people built their sleeping platforms directly on top of the graves of their ancestors. Yes, you read that correctly. They literally buried their dead under the floorboards and then made their beds directly on top of them. Why? Anthropologists believe it was to induce dreams. They wanted to connect with the spirit world. They wanted the visions, even if they were terrifying. They believed the dead had access to information they didn't, and the only way to download that information was through the dream state. They were basically trying to use a spiritual USB drive. Ancient humans didn't just talk about their nightmares, they documented them. Deep in the Lascaux caves in France, dating back about 15,000 years, there is a very specific, very famous painting. It is located at the bottom of a 16-foot vertical drop, known as the Shaft of the Dead Man. It's hard to get to, it's hidden, it feels secret. The painting shows a terrifying scene. A man with the head of a bird is falling backward. Next to him is a massive bison, its guts spilling out. A rhino is walking away. A spear is snapped in two. For decades, art historians argued about what this meant. Was it a hunting accident, a mythological story? But many evolutionary anthropologists look at the chaotic, surreal, terrifying nature of this image and suggest something else entirely. This might be one of the first recorded nightmares in human history. A shaman or hunter experienced a terrifying threat simulation in their sleep, a violent, surreal encounter with a dying beast where their weapon failed them. The nightmare was so vivid, so important, that they climbed down a 16-foot shaft in pitch blackness just to paint it on the wall. They were pulling the terror out of their head and making it physical. By painting the nightmare, they could study the threat. They weren't hiding from their fears, they were painting them on the wall to study the enemy. When you compare how we handle nightmares today to how our ancestors handled them, the contrast is staggering. Today, if you have a terrible nightmare, what do? You wake up, try to shake it off, and immediately try to forget it. You might Google, "Why did I dream my teeth fell out?" for 5 minutes, read a generic psychology blog, and then go to work. We treat nightmares like spam email. We just want to delete them and clear our inbox. Ancient humans treated nightmares like a VIP alert from the universe. If they were terrified in their sleep, they woke up, gathered the smartest people they knew, and analyzed the data. Think about how modern tech companies operate today. Netflix uses an algorithm to track what you watch, and then it predicts what you need to see next to keep your attention. Spotify learns what you listen to and feeds you similar music. Your ancient brain was the original predictive algorithm. It took all the subtle data from your waking life, a snapped twig you barely noticed, a weird look from a rival tribe's member, a change in the wind, and the algorithm said, "Warning, threat detected, compiling survival simulation." And then it streamed a horror movie directly into your consciousness to make sure you were paying attention. Modern humans try to cure anxiety. Ancient humans weaponized it.
And here is where it gets incredibly humbling. Let's say there were two types of ancient humans. Human A is a super chill, relaxed guy. When he goes to sleep, he dreams of gentle streams, sweet berries, and warm sunshine. He sleeps like a baby every night. Human B is highly anxious. When she goes to sleep, her brain violently simulates tiger attacks, snake bites, and starvation. She wakes up sweating on a regular basis. Who do you think survived? Human A got eaten. He was completely unprepared for the brutality of the Pleistocene epoch. Human B survived because she had already fought the tiger in her mind 100 times before she ever met it in the tall grass. The twist of human history is that you are not descended from the relaxed, peaceful dreamers. You are the genetic descendant of the paranoid, the anxious, and the terrified. You exist today because your ancestors had nightmares. The people who had the worst dreams were the ones who were most prepared for the worst realities. Your nightmares aren't a sign that your brain is broken. They are a sign that your brain is working perfectly, running ancient survival software that has successfully kept your bloodline alive for 300,000 years. You are the offspring of the survivors who paid attention to the dark.
So the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, coated in a cold sweat because you dreamed you were falling or being chased or completely unprepared for something, don't be angry at your brain. Don't grab your phone to distract yourself. Take a second to respect the simulation. Your brain just spent a massive amount of energy running a complex virtual reality program just to make sure your reflexes are sharp. It is an evolutionary gift from ancestors who slept on top of graves and painted monsters in pitch-black caves. They passed that software down to you. Your modern life might be safe. You have locks, you have heating, you have a memory foam mattress, but your brain still loves you enough to keep you ready for the dark. Subscribe for more, and sweet dreams.